I would be focusing on the buyer, the CEO, the EVP of a company. Hey, I would even say to him, I don't really care what you're buying. Let's go hang out. Yeah, I want to come to your charity golf tournament with you.
Yeah.
I say this, show that you're more interested in just a sale.
Yeah.
Like some people, it's transactional.
Yeah. What would you say is maybe like your biggest takeaway from scaling a household name like that?
It gets back to this, and it goes back to a very fundamental thing I see. Brand consistency is better than brand creativity. You got to get out. You got to get out and meet people. You have a product, a service, or an experience. You've got to get out and meet people.
Yeah.
With me, I don't have the mindset. I don't go in thinking I need to leave with 5 names. I may talk to no one, or I might just say hi to a few people. But if you're going to build your business, you got to get out.
Yeah.
And that's how you connect with people.
Entrepreneurship and life in general, actually, like day by day is a test of resilience.
For sure.
It's a test of your resilience, right?
Yeah.
And that just stacks up and compounds, right? If you're able to not quit one more day,
Exactly.
All right. Well, Bruce, appreciate you coming on the podcast, man. Thanks for doing this, man. I know there was a drive and, I know we were connecting back and forth to get you back on and stuff like that, but thank you so much for coming on.
Oh, no, it's always an honor and a pleasure. And, the drive is just the cost of living in California, right?
Yeah, exactly. And I'm super excited because, we've spoken about this a couple of times, but one is, we connected, I think, on social media.
Correct.
So there was this bound to happen where we're just gonna finally meet and talk. And then the other thing too, I'm really, really excited. This is kind of like my first time sitting down with you, but the fact that, we share a lot of mutual friends, and I'm sure you're just like me. I like to surround myself with people who are honorable, admirable, winners. And the fact that we share a lot of mutual friends says a lot about you already. So I'm very, very just excited to just have a chat with you, man.
That's cool. I'm honored to be here, really.
Yeah, awesome, man. And so, real quick, Bruce Cardenas, right?
Mm-hmm.
You've lived a life most people can only imagine. And we're going to talk about that. We're going to unpack a lot. But from serving in the Marines to public service, serving as LAPD to, building a global executive protection business, right? To a business executive, consultant, a keynote speaker. Man, that's quite the resume. If you ask me, man, that's quite the resume.
It always sounds good when someone else talks about you. I like bringing the hosts on the road with me. Make intros.
Yeah, well, you know what? Very, very impressive, I got to say. But I'm just very excited to get to know Bruce the person, Bruce the man. You know what I'm saying? So real quick, since we're even talking on that, right? You've kind of lived these multiple lives, I guess you could say, right? And so it's so funny too, by the way, my wife who sees my calendar, right? Yeah. She actually asked me oh, who's Bruce? Right? And so my question, just to start off here, just real quick, if someone were to ask who is Bruce, how would you answer that?
Someone taught me a while ago about if you're going to introduce yourself, keep it brief and short and concise.
Yeah.
I'd say I'm a servant leader first, and I enjoy building brands and building relationships and bringing people together in life.
I love that. So let's talk about kind of the beginning also, and kind of where you came from, and then leading into you getting into the military. What does that look like for you?
Yeah, and feel free if I talk too long, interrupt me. But I was a middle child of 5.
Okay.
Lower, slightly on the poor end. Our family was. My dad was an electrical contractor. My mom worked in the school board as a transportation director. But small town, 1,000 people in High Bridge, New Jersey, which is a very rural town. It was a steel mill town back in the 1800s. And honestly, I was not set for success at all. I was 7 years old, and a friend of mine, and we were crossing the crosswalk to go to school, and we got hit by a taxi cab. I had my leg broken in 4 spots and a lot of internal damage, and sadly, my friend passed away in that accident.
7 years old?
At 7 years old.
Wow.
And that set the wheels in motion because of being out of school so much. My parents and teachers held me back a grade. And of course, that didn't do well on the self-esteem because I'm thinking, okay, I'm now a dumb kid, because that's what you think in your brain. I'm held back. And I literally failed every class, every test I ever took, all the way up until high school, where I failed my final exam to graduate and had to go to summer school to get my diploma. I think the saving grace was I was an athlete, but I was a daydreamer and a visionary all through school. I don't think I ever opened a book.
Mm-hmm.
And so that paved the way. And it was interesting, though, but I look back on my life's experience. My father was really the guy. Vietnam vet, kind of a hardcore guy, but the most loving, caring person. Taught all the things I learned in life was really because of him. I look back, he was almost like a modern day Jocko Willink back in the day. And he was our Boy Scout leader. He started the troop, Boy Scout troop, and he was never like into sports, but he still would volunteer as our assistant coach to be there to help the team and help the kids. And he was truly a community leader, even though we didn't have a lot of money. I remember, one year the city was looking for someone to build like a rec center for the baseball, and he built it on his own dime, his own time. And I think that's where I started learning. Even though when you're a kid, you don't appreciate those things.
Yeah, yeah.
And even as I became a teenager, like we're doing all this Boy Scout stuff, and I learned all these perishable skills. We lived near a lake, so I learned how to swim. And I remember all my friends wanted to hang out at my house with my dad, and I'm thinking, my dad's not that cool. Because when you're, he's not. But he really he was a cool guy. We went hiking in the summer, Boy Scout troop, canoeing. So all the skills I learned carried me through life. But when you're a kid, you don't appreciate any of it.
Yeah.
So how I got out of that town was I always wanted to be a police officer. It was just a boyhood dream. My uncle was a police officer. Okay. My neighbor was a colonel with the state police. And my sister ended up marrying a police officer, who they're still together. So I always had this vision of being a police officer. I didn't really know what it looked like, but I knew in high school they let me do ride-alongs. It was a 5-man department. That's how small this town was.
Dang.
I got out of high school, and I was doing these ride-alongs still, and I finally mustered up the courage. I was so insecure then I couldn't make eye contact with a grown man. If I had to have a conversation, I couldn't look at you in the eye. Very insecure. I finally went to the chief one day and said, hey, I really want to be a police officer. What can I do to join the Highbridge Police Department? And he paused and took a deep breath and said, Bruce, you're young, dumb, and immature. I don't think he used the word dumb, but that's my takeaway, right?
Yeah, yeah. 13 years old still, right? Or...
No, I was right out of high school, but I wanted
to
be a police. I was ready to join the police department.
Okay, got it.
I was, and he said, but I'll do this for you. If you go in the Marine Corps, I'll hire you the day you get out. And I left so perplexed. I'm thinking, why do I leave the safety of my hometown?
Yeah.
Can't you just hire me? And he said, it's not an option. You need to go in the Marine Corps. And I pondered it. I was so insecure, and I knew nothing about the Marine Corps. And it really wasn't. It's a very, I guess, serendipitous how things happen. But we grew up very Catholic. Mm-hmm. Church every Sunday, and the next week I decided to go to church. I wasn't a regular, but I went to church, and I remember at the end of the service, if you went to a Catholic service at all, it's almost like time. They talk, you're out of there. Bam.
Yes.
30 minutes, you're out.
Yeah.
And I stayed, and the priest said, Bruce, you've never stayed this long. You and your brothers are normally hightailing it out. And I told him this situation with the chief, and he said, and he sat with me for a minute. He said, the chief, it's sound advice. You need to go in the Marine Corps.
Wow.
He goes, but I'm going to tell you something about you that you don't know. He goes, there's something very unique about you. Because he knew me for years. Mm-hmm. Just like Chief, he goes, there's something very special about you. He goes, you will not come back to Highbridge. And I was like, well, I want to come back as a police officer because there's going to be greater things in life for you.
Wow.
And that set in motion. I grabbed my best friend and said, we're going to the Marine Corps together.
How did you feel when you were told that? It almost seemed like it was confirmation, right?
It was almost it was actually, I could be emotional about it because he said, I've watched you all these years, and you may not be aware of it yet, but there's something very amazing about you. And you're destined to do great things in life. And of course, you're a dumb kid from this hometown. And so, yeah, it set the wheels in motion. I grabbed my best friend, Jim. And of course, thank God he was a follower. So I said, you're going with me.
Yeah.
And he said, okay.
Like, come on.
And he said, okay.
Yeah.
And it's crazy. Jim and I, ended up in boot camp in Paris Island, which is, I only can describe, if you ever saw the movie Full Metal Jacket, it depicts everything about the Marine Corps. It's brutal. But I say this looking back, I went in a boy and came out a man.
Yeah.
But I remember Jim would be in there together, and if we had a moment alone, he goes, I can't believe you talked me into this.
like this is the plan, huh?
But it transformed me. I mean, I dropped 30 pounds in boot camp, and literally I went from not even being responsible for any. I say it like this. I was a burden on society for the first 19 years of my life. What did I do? Mm-hmm. I took from my parents. I didn't do anything, and I finally had a purpose and why. I use this word a lot. I had a purpose and why in life. I'm serving the country. They're teaching me respect and honor and integrity, and it just evolved very quickly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Man, I love that. I think there's an important lesson there, if you don't mind me just sharing. Like, you don't know how powerful your words are when you see something in someone and how that could impact their life. Just kind of like, again, like what happened with you.
Forever,
right?
yeah.
Like, I just think it's so important when you see something in someone. I think you should be very vocal about that, because it sounds like with your story that was a catalyst right there.
For sure.
That was like, right. And so you kind of spoke about it a little bit, but what would you say, like in the Marines, and then you transitioned, into something else. We'll talk about that. Mm-hmm. How would you say, like, what did it teach you, and how does that still shape you to who you are today and how you operate?
I think the discipline and having a structure. There was 3 words that were the core of the Marine Corps. It's honor, courage, and commitment. Those 3 words, and it's on the walls everywhere.
Yeah.
And I remember even to this day when I even think about or dealing with people or business or personal relationship, I may not consciously, but in my mind, I'm like, this is an honorable person. They have courage, they have commitment, because that kind of defines when I'm around someone. Now, of course, my words have expanded, but those really defined me. And and I remember the Marine Corps was not ideal for me. You go in and you're under all the structure from making your bed. Everything is just bam, 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 bam. But I remember I thought, okay, I'm going to make the best of this. Because in my mind, I'm still thinking, okay, I'm going to go through this process, get out, and still go back and be a police officer.
Okay, so that was still in the...
I wasn't like,
okay.
I'm like, okay, I got to...
You didn't abandon that.
No, I'm like, I'm going to be punished. But I thought, I'm going to make the best of it. So I would show up early at work, assignment, and I would stay late. And about 6 months into my assignment, my boss, my first sergeant, called me in, and he said, Cardenas, I need to talk to you. He says, I've been watching you. And once again, he used these words, there's something about you. You're always here early. When we have reveille at the flag every morning, you're the first one out here. Some of these guys straggle trying to put their clothes on. He goes, you're always on time, and you always stay late. And he goes, I noticed you. He goes, I'm sending you down for a temporary assigned duty. And I just looked at him like, what does that mean? Am I in trouble? Temporary assigned duty. I'm like, okay.
Yeah. They said, describe temporary.
Yeah, and I didn't know what that meant. And he said, and he dismissed me. I'm thinking, because in the Marine Corps, you just follow rules. There's not like I'm a student. Hey, what's that mean?
Yeah.
Next thing you know, I'm standing in front of a full bird colonel, and I didn't know why I was there, which is weird. So I'm standing in front of this guy, fully decorated Marine, big office, and he said, well, why are you here? I said, well, first sergeant, and he knew the name, so he goes, well, what makes you qualified for this position? First of all, I had no idea what I was there for, right? So the only thing I could remember is because behind him on the wall were the words honor, courage, and commitment. I saw it out of the corner of my eye. I said, well, sir, it'd be an honor to serve in this position. I have the courage to see it through the end, and I'm committed. Well, because I was frozen, because I'm talking to a man, and I'm like, I don't know what to say, but those words caught me.
Yeah.
And then it ended up putting me in a position that was so unique in the Marine Corps. And once again, I became a servant leader because I was protecting other government officials.
Yeah. Which
then I got that in my DNA of, I really do enjoy this.
Yeah. I love that, man. And the reason why I ask is because I've had about, I think it's 3 to 4 veterans who are Marines who serve, as Marines on the podcast in season 2, and I'm always fascinated by the mindset. I mean, you spoke with someone like Jocko, right?
Yeah.
Like the mindset, your character, the discipline that you guys emulate. To me, it's just fascinating.
Yeah, it's all discipline. It's a disciplined lifestyle. You can't, Yeah.
And so let's talk about the transition to the LAPD now. Right.
Yeah.
What did that look like? And you work some, I think, I even looked here, you work on some tough assignments. I think you have over 20, what do you call it, awards or citations of bravery or something like that? Talk about that a little bit.
Yeah, I still, as I was getting close to the end of the Marine Corps, I was thinking I'm still going to go back to High Bridge and be a police officer. And I worked out, I was very big into powerlifting. And all you did, you worked out or you did your job. And my training partner said, hey, I want to go out to California to Camp Pendleton for the powerlifting meet. And we were in the East Coast. I said, I don't want to go. I'm getting ready to get out. And he said, no, go with me. And I literally resisted. And I finally said, okay, I'll go with you. Came to California. We're at Camp Pendleton down here by San Diego. We do the competition and we tour the base. And there's a career day on base, like in a hangar, like IBM, trucking companies, different companies back in the day. And I saw all these police departments. And all of a sudden I was like, wow, wait. Beautiful people, beautiful weather.
Yeah.
And whatever the pay was at the time, I mean, whatever that number was, I was like, that's a lot of, oh my God. Mm-hmm. And I said, I don't think I'm going back to High Bridge.
Yeah.
And that started the wheels in motion. It took about a year to process to get on. And I applied with like a bunch of different departments, and LAPD called me first. I remember Christmas Eve, Officer Williams, because this day, I mean, he retired, he's a captain, but we became friends. he called me after a grueling background check, you know, like all this stuff, and he'd call me all the time and ask me questions.
Mm-hmm.
He said, "Do you still want to be a police officer?" I said, "Yeah, more than anything." He said, "Well, congratulations, you report to the police academy on January 11th, and I'll never forget it. The best Christmas I ever had."
Wow.
And that started the wheels in motion. But I do remember this, the first day in the police academy, we're standing in line with 85 cadets, my classmates, and Sandy Kimber, who was our drill instructor, one of the first females of LAPD, and she said, "I need you to look to your left and look to your right. You will all not be here on graduation day."
Mm.
And I'm like, oh my God, she's talking to me.
Yeah.
And she said, "And the reason you won't be is because most of you will fail out academically." I said, "For sure she's talking to me."
Mm-hmm.
Remember, I squeaked out of high school.
Yeah, you didn't open a book.
I didn't open a book.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden I realized one thing changed though. So I had a carpool. One of my classmates lived near me, so we carpooled an hour each way. And I said, we got to study. I never studied in my life, but weekends we studied. And I remember this clear as day, my first test, I got a 94.
Wow. And
she even said, go on that list. She goes, "Cardenas, good job, 94. That set in wheels of motion, what I realized in my brain, I was lazy. Mm-hmm. It wasn't I was dumb. I was never interested, and this was something I was interested in learning about.
Yeah.
And I excelled extremely well in the academy.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Yeah.
What's that saying? Like, whether you think you will or you won't, like, you're right.
Yeah.
Right? Like, you're focused.
I was focused. I became obsessed, and I graduated #1 in tactics in my class, in high-ranking shooting, #1 in driving defense. I mean, I did okay academically. There was very smart people in my class, but I was so proud, and my parents were, because I'm like, can you?
They're
believe
like, who is this kid?
Yeah, can you believe this?
Yeah,
like,
who is this kid?
I actually know how to read.
Yeah.
And then the career started. My first assignment at Los Angeles is a very big city, almost 600 square miles, and there's 20 different divisions, and I ended up in Foothill Division, which ironically is out in Sylmar. Foothill Division is known for the Rodney King incident. That's if you remember history.
Yeah, yeah.
So we could, if you want to question about it, a couple of things I want to share with you about specifically Foothill Division. My most important learning lesson was my first day on the job. In roll call, they call out my name, and Cardenas here with Bob, and he was going to be my training officer. Old crotchety guy, already had 25 years on the job. And I remember I got out of roll call and I went to shake his hand, and he just walked right by me. Like, he did not acknowledge me. You know, you're a recruit, you're young, and I get it. And he said, "I'll see you at the car." So I went and got all the equipment, ran out to the car, and I was in the passenger seat, and I sat down in the car, and there was a notepad between us to take, if you got a call. And he had already had this big face drawn. It was a big face with 2 big ears and 2 big eyes and no mouth. And he hadn't even introduced himself to me. He goes, "You know what that is? That's you, Cardenas." He goes, "I need you to do a lot of looking and listening and no talking. Are we clear?"
Wow.
And of course I'm like, "Yes, sir. I'm right out of the Marine Corps." Right?
Yeah.
And I'm thinking, God, this guy's an ass. Like,
yeah.
Whatever I'm thinking to myself. And as we warmed up, you're with someone, and he was a former Marine. I didn't know that. And he said, "Listen," he goes, "and it's the greatest skill I've learned to this day. Out of any skill in my life, listening with the intent to understand people was it." And he said to me, he goes, "We need to listen to people. Suspects, domestic violence, doesn't matter what, you need to listen to people and hear what they're saying, what they're doing." And that was my big takeaway. I learned a lot of things with Bob, but that was my big takeaway. And also empathy with him.
Man.
Yeah.
There's that saying too, right? Like, we have 1 mouth and 2 ears.
Right.
Listening is the biggest thing, right? Wow. And how many years of in the service at LAPD did you?
So I did 12 years full time, and I'm still a reserve with the LA County Sheriff's now. But that leads to the other chapter of starting the executive protection business.
Yeah. So let's talk about that, because you went from protecting, people and other things to now starting this, this protection security business with high profile people. Like, what did that look like? That
once again, I think was I use the word serendipitous encounter. So I actually went on a call. It was a retired Beverly Hills sergeant who his car got broken into, and I took the report. And once again, so I took the time. Man, let me tell you, a lot of police officers show up and they're like, they don't another report. They want to send you to the police station. And I said, "No, I'll take a report for this guy." Hung out and started talking to him, and about a half hour into it, he goes, "Man," he goes, "you're a really special dude, man." He goes, "You're so courteous," and he took the time to make this report. And he said, I own a personal protection business." He's telling me, he goes, "Maybe you'd be interested in working for me part-time at night or weekends whenever you're off from being a police officer." I was like, "Is that an option?" Like I didn't know.
Yeah. You didn't know if you could do something else on the side.
Of course. Yeah. And I had, I had young kids, and there's never enough money, right? I mean, I was basic pay for a police officer. Mm-hmm. So I started working for John part-time. And once again, I realized I am a servant leader. I'm fine behind the scenes in the corner, not being seen, just being quiet, listening, which is I learned very distinctly. And after I did it for about 6 months, there was one client that kept requesting me.
Yeah.
And another business lesson this client taught me. So one day we're in the vehicle together, and he said, I don't really speak to clients. It's either through the assistant, and I just learned to listen, right?
Yeah.
And one day he said, Bruce, is this your company, or are we paying someone? I said, I work for a company. And he taught me a lesson. He said, and he's a billionaire. To this day, he's still my client after 30 years, by the way.
Oh, wow.
Still, he's a New York guy, financier, but he's still my client. He comes out here not as often because he's older. But he said, you understand you're basically trading time for money. And I didn't even know what that, I was like, he goes, you know what I mean by that? I said, no, sir. He goes, you're working for somebody else. You're getting an hourly wage, I assume, or a daily rate. I said, yes, sir. He goes, I want you to start your own company. He goes, I want you to, he goes, I'm going to be your first client. I just said, yes, sir, because I had no idea what that meant.
It sounds good. I'm down.
Yeah, and I got home and called my brother, who's a lawyer, and I said, a client wants me to start a company. What do I do? He goes, oh, that's great. He walked me through, get a license, all that. And I realized, now I own a company. Now I'm able to bill him at a higher rate, and I'm also able to hire other people. But that was my first entrepreneurial spirit. That was my first entrepreneur opportunity.
Like taste, right?
Like, wow, I can make more money, and now it's my own part, like my own show.
Yeah. So what's interesting is from all the veterans I know, after they get out, they usually go into three things. So one is sales.
Yep.
Second one is public service. Mm-hmm. And then the third one is they become a business owner, which could be tied to the sales part.
Yeah.
And it's just interesting, that pathway led you to now starting your own business, and now you're an entrepreneur. So talk to me about that, because now that's kind of like two different worlds at that point, from service, being an LAPD and entrepreneurship. What did that look like building it up? Did it,
like everything, there's challenges, owning your own business is great, but there's no 9 to 5. You know, it's a real deal now.
Yes, 24/7.
24/7, and I was fine with that, and I was also fine financially. What clients started coming, but it all went back to, once again, I realized being a servant leader was important to me, but listening to people. But also, I had this unique ability to build relationships. Yeah, very unique relationships, because I would end up working for a client, and they would request me back. And there was always a common denominator, because I never really dealt with the talent. I did. I mean, I'd be with them, but I never had conversation with them. I learned that they're not my friends. I'm here to just serve them. But the assistants or the managers would say, Bruce, I'd be back 2 or 3 times and protecting some very high-profile people. And one of the managers one time said, Bruce, why we keep calling you back is because you just provide a service and you interfere. You do not interfere with our life. Mm-hmm. He goes, a lot of people in these positions want to talk to you, tell you that their daughter's a fan. Oh, I went to see your last movie. He goes, you don't say a word to us. And even to the point where some of the talent would say, we'd go to dinner and say, Bruce, you want to join us? I said, no, thank you. I'll be at the bar or the front door. And they would ask me all the time. I'd always say, no, thank you. And the managers would even say, a lot of guys would say, yeah, I'll join you for dinner, and then cross that personal line. I just never done it.
There's kind of like a boundary that
it's a boundary. It's a rule. To me, it's like the 10 commandments, but some guys, I've lost clients because as I got bigger, I had to have employees, and then I would send guys on the road, and they would do all the things I asked them not to do. Don't talk to the client. Don't sit down. But to this day, it's the same conversation. There is no conversation with me.
Yeah, it's weird that you say that, because it's like a law and like a boundary, but I almost feel like it's also kind of like an etiquette thing too, because you're there as a professional. Yeah. Right. So it's just like, And I would end up picking up clients. I remember specifically a big urban artist, female urban artist. The label sent me, hey Bruce, I need you on this movie set or video set for a couple of days. First day I was just there, just in the corner doing nothing, and I saw a lot of people hanging out around her trailer and smoking weed and stuff. And I'm like, I don't know who these people are. And then the next day, so by the third day, there was no one else on set except me. Yeah. And the manager came up to me at the end of the day and said,
we're going to do a 3-city tour. Can you join us? And I was like, yeah. And he said, you know why we want you to do a tour? I said, I have no idea. I'm thinking, okay. He goes, because you did your job. You didn't talk to us. He goes, all those guys that were hanging out, they were our security. She fired all of them because they were just hanging out.
Yeah. Screwing around.
Smoking weed, drinking soda. And I did a 3-city tour with her. And at the end of the tour, she said, Bruce, I know we haven't said a word to each other other than good morning and good night. She goes, but you are the most professional person I've ever been around. You've not asked me for anything. You've not. And I just was thinking, why would I? Respectfully, we're not friends, right? I'm just providing you a service.
Yeah.
I'm never going to go to your house for Thanksgiving. And I just always had that mindset of, I'm just here to serve you.
Yeah.
And when you go home, I go home, and
yeah, I'm
polite and professional and courteous, right? But it just never crossed that line.
Yeah, at the foundation, like you said, you're a servant.
Yeah.
You're there to serve, but at the same time, you're a professional. And this is a business.
But a lot of people, you'd be surprised how many people, it becomes a comfort.
Yeah.
Well, I've been around him or her for the last 5 days. I mean, at some point, we got to start chopping it up. No, I don't.
Yeah. Well, so at some point, though, you had to kind of balance, right, security, luxury, and scaling the business.
Yeah.
How were you able to maintain that or do that?
That's where I was horrible.
Okay.
So I was great at relationships because clients kept calling me. And then I started having employees. Okay. And then the challenges of employees, right? Sometimes you lose accounts. But what I did not know was there's 2 aspects of business, and I share this with entrepreneurs. This is really important. I was great at the relationship building to the point where I was doing a few $1 million a year in gross sales of clients, right?
Wow.
I had music labels where I had guys there 24 hours a day. But I remember one day very distinctly, I had a bookkeeper. Her name was Renee, which key word is I had a bookkeeper. Lovely lady who worked from home.
Yeah.
She would write the checks and mail them to my employees, and I thought I had it going on. I'm an entrepreneur. She called me one day on a Monday and said, Bruce, your payroll is due Friday. It's $75,000. I'm like, okay. She goes, you have 25 in the bank. I'm like, how does that work?
Yeah.
You have a lot of outstanding accounts receivable. Like Fox Studio owed me like $100,000 from the Super Bowl. So all this money was out there, but that they're not paying for 30, 60, 90 days, right? Cash flow. And I went into a panic mode because I didn't have any money. I called the bank and they said, yeah, you come out and fill out the paperwork and maybe in 2 weeks we'll let you know. I said, no, I need it by Friday.
Yeah.
And I ended up cashing out my partial pension. I had 12 years vested, which was, it's one of those, looking back, it was a tremendous mistake because that money would have been worth like $3,000 a month now.
Yeah.
Forever. But I cashed it out. I survived, but it taught me a valuable lesson. My bookkeeper was wonderful, but I really needed a CPA. I had no credit lines. I had no banking relationships. And I say this the most importantly to people. Back then, I didn't have a mastermind. I didn't have a Ed Milet to call. I didn't have you to, I could have now, where I am now, if I need, I could call a dozen people and say, hey, just so you know, my payroll's due Friday. I need $100,000. What can I do? What can we do together?
Yeah.
I'd have 100 people to call. Then I was just paralyzed.
Yeah. And
the scariest part was, actually the most embarrassing part was, I had done so well financially. The year before that, it was the most exciting, but most rewarding thing in my entire life. I was able to buy my mom a brand new car. I had it delivered to her house. So I was like, wow, my mom's finally like...
That must have felt awesome.
After me being a burden, right? I mean, all you do is take from your parents, right? Yeah. But the point is, I did that. So but then next year I couldn't make payroll.
Yeah.
And I wasn't going to call my mom and say, can I borrow your money?
Yeah.
But anyway, so I tell people that because if you're going to be an entrepreneur, have that other stuff set up: accounting, banking, bookkeeping, cash flow. Have a reserve, because it's going to be. I say this: dark days are coming.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter when they hit you. And mine hit me, and I was like, I almost went bankrupt because I couldn't. I was thinking to myself, wait, I'm doing $3 million a year in billing, but I can't make payroll. I almost couldn't process it. Does that make sense?
Yeah. And you did something, like I said, that I think kind of maybe other people for sure wouldn't do. You dipped into your pension.
I had no choice.
You had to do what you had to do.
I would have, and
you had to do the right thing.
Yeah, and it reflects back on. I remember my dad, when he had his construction company, making payroll for everyone was paramount.
Yeah.
Like, he would even say, we may have to forgo certain things in our family to make sure the guys get paid. And I remember that in my brain. I was like, I got to pay these guys on Friday. Can you imagine me calling you saying I can't pay you?
Yeah.
I was more freaking out about not paying the people that I owed money to than my own security.
Yeah. So, man,
yeah.
So a valuable lesson as an entrepreneur, right? So the lessons I'm kind of hearing is like, one, There's a couple things.
Yeah.
First off, just at the foundation of everything we're talking about is one, you got to learn how to build relationships at the end of the day.
Yeah.
Right? You got to learn how to build relationships at the end of the day, continue to listen, serve, but at the same time, it sounded like definitely outsource and turn to the experts in the things that you know for sure that you aren't able to do or you're not an expert at.
All day long.
Right.
Yeah. I knew nothing about accounting and bookkeeping, CPAs, and there are people that advise you on business, you know?
Yeah.
And even at the time, it's almost embarrassing because I remember my proudest moment in my own mind was I paid myself an astronomical amount of money that year. My pay, like I paid taxes probably on $700,000.
Wow.
Now, fast forward, people would say, Bruce, you're an idiot. You should have paid yourself $50,000 a year, and everything else would have been a write-off. And but I was so proud I paid myself so much. But now, there's billionaires that pay themselves $50,000 a year.
Yeah. I know.
So there's other things. I didn't know anything about business. No one was guiding me.
Yeah.
So.
But some of those things, from even my experience too, is you have to make those big mistakes and go through those challenges and adversity to learn your biggest lessons to move forward.
100%.
Right? And I think the game changer with that is just making sure you don't make the same mistake twice.
Yeah. And don't get me wrong, I think I've probably made this same mistake twice.
Yeah, me too. But you try do your best.
But sometimes you're like, wait, I think I've seen this story before. Let me
exactly.
Yeah. Whoa. Yeah.
That self-awareness, like, yo, this looks a little familiar.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But you're right. I mean, that's why I try and share these stories with people. Like, entrepreneurship is a wonderful journey, but there's a dark days coming.
Yeah. A good buddy of mine once, I always remember this. It's so simple and straightforward, but it's just like so true. Like entrepreneurship and life in general, actually, like day by day is a test of resilience.
For sure.
It's a test of your resilience. Right.
Yeah.
And that just stacks up and compounds. Right. If you're able to not quit one more day.
Exactly.
Right.
Yeah. And that's funny. You said I love that phrase, one more day. That's what Ed Milet, his book is One More Day.
Yeah.
Yeah. Sometimes people they tap out.
Yeah.
Because there was times where I was like, okay, I don't know if I could do this anymore.
Yeah.
And then I always had this mindset though, and I think it goes back to my dad again. I knew I could always find a way to make money.
Yeah.
Like if something happened, okay, if I got to dig a ditch, I will make money. And I always knew that, okay, I'll be able to feed myself and my family. It may not be easy. So it's interesting. I meet a lot of people, if something happens, right, they lose their job or their career. Okay, great. There's other things.
Yeah.
You'll be okay.
Yeah.
So
I think it's at the time of the moment. And then also emotional resilience.
For sure.
Right? Emotional control, things like that.
Yeah.
Right? So, okay, so let's transition now to Quest Nutrition. Okay, because that's where you served as chief communication officer. Yeah.
There again, a serendipitous encounter.
Yeah.
I think I'm living the best life I can be.
Yeah.
I'm a reserve with the sheriff, so I got the bodyguard thing going on.
Yeah.
And I meet a woman named Shannon Penna, who goes by Quest Creator on Instagram. It's important I say that because, and Jim acquaintances. Hey, how you doing? Good to see you. And her husband Ron worked out there, and he wasn't as friendly. He was more like the guy with the earbuds on. Mm-hmm. And I ended up, one day she gave me a couple protein bars, and I didn't eat them immediately. I saw her like next week. Those bars were phenomenal. The taste, the texture, ingredients. And she said, I've been making them in my kitchen. And she goes, I'm making them in my kitchen. I was making them for my girlfriends for boot camp, like physical fitness stuff. And my husband figured out how to commercialize it, and now we have these Quest bars.
Yeah.
And she talked about it so passionately, how she was making these bars. She's I call her a super foodie. She's into fitness.
Yeah.
And I've never done this before. Something struck me while she's talking to me. I said, the bars are amazing. Next week I'm doing security at a celebrity golf tournament at Riviera Country Club up in West LA. I probably can't get them in talent's hands, but my friend is doing the PR. And she's like, that'd be amazing. So the next day she dropped off a few boxes of bars at my house. Mm-hmm. I went to the golf tournament, and my friend Cheryl, who did the PR, I said, Cheryl, my friends own this protein bar company. And she said, that's amazing. Let me get it in some people's hands. There was no social media, and Facebook just started. No Instagram, no Twitter.
Different time.
She got people trying it on camera, like on these blogs. People were videotaping. I'm like, that's kind of weird. But I'm doing my job, right? I'm not really paying attention.
Yeah.
I see Shannon the next week and showed her some pictures on my BlackBerry. I didn't have an iPhone yet. And the iPhone wasn't even out.
Yeah.
Dating myself. And she's like, oh my God, how do you know these people? And I remind her, I protect people for a living. And And that started the wheels in motion. So then,
Well, why did you? Sorry to interrupt. Why did you decide to do that? Because you said that you don't normally do something.
There was now it's my DNA, but then I was just like, it was something about her energy and the level of everything, the vibrations, everything, how she spoke, how she was so passionate. I was like, man, I've never been around someone so passionate about a protein bar. It was something that, whatever it clicked inside me, I was like, this is a nice person.
It's like a natural fit. Like, you know what? I want to do this for you.
Yeah, like I want to help them. They're kind of cool. The bars are cool.
Yeah.
And then that just started like, it was on a set of the Kardashian shows early on, and then Mario Lopez was a good client, and that's when they used to film out in a public arena, and so we did the security there. So I brought, and I never gave it to the talent. It was always the assistant, the manager. I just say, hey, by the way, my friends own this company, and I'm just helping them. They're cool people. That's how I kind of would say it.
Yeah.
And I remember Mario Lopez started giving them out on camera into the audience. You've seen when he does his show with the live audience. And anyway, I do that for about 9 months. I run into Ron at the gym. He said, when do you come by the office? When are you free? I said, I'll come by tomorrow. I go to the city of Paramount, which is in the hood, and I pull into this industrial strip mall, and it's nothing special about it. And I go inside, and they're working in this like tiny little offices, and everyone's crammed in offices. And Ron says, hey, we've been stealing from you. And I'm like, what do you mean? He goes, you're bringing us all this value. All these celebrities are eating our product, and we're doing nothing for you. And my reply was, well, I get free protein bars. He did. He laughed too. In my face, he said, well, listen, you're worth way more than that. Starting next week, we're going to put you on the payroll.
Wow.
I said, no, you don't need to. He goes, you could give it to charity. We're going to put you on the payroll. It was your average nominal American salary. It didn't change my life. But what did change was, once again, going back to my father, the work ethic thing, how valuable money was, and how you save it, and all of a sudden I'm like, my God, now I'm getting paid. Oh my God! And I didn't share this, but my brain is like, what do I now need to do to prove myself, because now I'm getting paid.
Yeah.
And I went in overdrive. And what happened was, every time I was still doing the protection, but every time there was an opportunity, if I saw someone at the gym, and it just evolved, and it became, once again, a why for me, and a purpose, because I only could describe it best. Quest was a rocket ship. It took off, and early on, it was just a protein bar. But then people would start writing us emails and blogs saying, hey, I lost 30 pounds over the last 5 months as my go-to snack.
Yeah.
I've got diabetes and my blood sugar doesn't spike. I've got celiac disease, but I don't even know what the word celiac meant, and I'm able to consume your bars with no digestive issues. And I say we went from a protein bar company to a mission-based company, where you're changing people's lives, believe it or not, for a protein bar.
It became a movement.
A movement, yes. Even cultish, like people would say, oh, I had people that got Quest tattoos on their wrists.
Yeah.
And it became a why and purpose. And really, honestly, to this day, Ron says the same thing. He just said it to me yesterday morning. He said, Bruce, and this is important for entrepreneurs to know, I've got 99 problems. Please help take problems off my plate. Most employees bring you problems. Hey boss, I got this, I got that. And he said, I just want people to come and bring me solve problems. So he said, we're all new to this. We came from the tech space. His partner was the CFO, but he was like a mechanical guy. And we had a guy in charge of marketing. He goes, and so I had free reign. And I use this word, it's important for people to hear this. I was an intrapreneur inside of an organization with an I, not E. So intrapreneur. I created my own business inside their company because I had no rules. I built out the events department, the ambassador program. I ended up traveling 40 weekends a year for 4 years straight, because every time there was an opportunity, I'd get on a plane. Matter of fact, the first 3 events I set up, they had just told me about them. Say, hey, there's this bodybuilding show. I used my own credit card. I paid for it. I didn't expense it. I was just like, yeah, these are cool people. I want to help them. And it just became a movement. It became a movement, and I became obsessed with what they were doing, what we were doing.
It became part of your identity and
DNA.
My
identity. It was my identity, and then people started knowing me as the Quest guy, and it just became. But it was. I say it like this because important people know I was the least qualified person to work in a nutrition company. I was a cop and a bodyguard.
Yeah.
If I came in with my resume, I wouldn't have got past a receptionist.
Yeah. It's kind of like if you were to look at the resume and we had that, it's like, okay, where was that gap or transition? Like, what happened here between this and
How'd you get past HR?
Yeah.
But it was because I was passionate about just building the brand and the relationships, and that's why I tell people, don't be shy about what you go after. Yeah, it's hard. Maybe it's hard to get into the door of an accounting firm without an accounting degree, but I brought value. I say this because I speak a lot about this. I brought value to them, and I had no expectations. As a matter of fact, those first 9 months, I'm like, I get protein bars. What else can I expect from these people? They're amazing to get me protein bars.
Yeah.
So I say that to people too. If you have an opportunity, just bring value and don't have expectations.
Yeah, I was just gonna say that the lesson I see in this is like, you did it just because out of the goodness of your heart. You saw good people. You loved the product.
Yeah.
You were giving it out and didn't expect anything in return, and then they came to you. Like, that's another thing too. I think people miss is sometimes people are going out requesting things, right? They're seeking stuff, but when you give so much value in the marketplace, people are naturally going to seek you. Right, and that's what happened, because that was the unexpected role. Like, you started off, I guess you could say, like an ambassador.
Yeah, for sure, unpaid ambassador. Yeah, glorified ambassador.
Yeah, and then you became the chief communications officer.
Because what happened was opportunities kept carving out, and don't get me wrong, other people could have taken advantage of what I was doing, but I think because we were growing so fast, they were just doing what they did.
Yeah,
and I had opportunities, like the sales guys were busy selling, and then they would come to me and say, hey, GNC has this golf tournament in Pittsburgh. I'll go. Vitamin Shop has this charity bike ride in Pennsylvania. I'll go. I got on a plane. I'd say, I got it. And I built these relationships.
Yeah.
Going to see Walmart and all these things that I never thought I would be doing. And then my brain would just think, okay, where else can I build relationships for this protein bar? And I got us involved with the CrossFit games when people weren't really sure about CrossFit, and it became a cult movement in CrossFit. And next thing you know, I'm visiting Reebok headquarters, visiting the CrossFit games. So opportunity just kept happening. Yeah. And probably the most unique thing, I guess, as a kid in me, is NFL teams started buying our product.
Wow.
And what was so cool is, at the time, Gatorade had the contract for the NFL. So teams would automatically they had a bar back then. I don't know if they still have a Gatorade bar, but they would get product to the teams.
Yeah.
But teams would still buy our product. And what was so cool is, I remember to this day, because my older brother grew up as a hardcore Steelers fan, and I got to go to the Steelers camp and worked out with them for a day.
Nice.
Anyway, those experiences all happened all from a protein bar, but it was also from relationships.
Yeah.
And I would reach out to strength coaches, and they'd invite me out, and I found it interesting. No one else wanted to do it in our company.
Yeah. You kind of created that role too, like you said,
I
right?
created it.
So for the average person, what would you say is the role of like a CCO?
I break it down as simple as outward bound relationships.
Okay.
Communicating with the world, whether it's press, media, athletes, ambassadors, companies, other corporate, buyers.
So internal and external.
Yeah, external for sure, because it's interesting, even though you may be, let's say you're a salesperson, they're focused on sales. I would be focusing on the buyer, the CEO, the EVP of a company. Hey, I would even say to them, I don't really care what you're buying. Let's go hang out. Yeah, I want to come to your charity golf tournament with you.
Yeah.
And show that I say this, show that you're more interested in just the sale.
Yeah.
Like some people, it's transactional.
Yeah.
Hey, buyer.
Common pitfall for
send
sure.
me a purchase order and I'll facilitate it.
Yeah.
I would say, oh wait, you guys have a charity for cancer, or your Make-A-Wish Foundation? Can we help you? And that's what I would look at, and then all of a sudden they're like, wait, this guy's really authentic. I went on a bike ride with Vitamin Shop. I think they're called Wings of Angels or something. I went on a 100-mile bike ride with the CEO.
Yeah.
Bike riding is not my thing, but I was like, it's important to them and it's important to me. I didn't even ask how much money they spent with us. But I think sometimes people get caught up in it's just transactional.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, Quest Nutrition basically became a household name, right?
Crazy.
So I mean, what would you say, as we kind of move on, what would you say is maybe like your biggest takeaway from scaling a household name like that?
It gets back to this, and it goes back to a very fundamental thing I see. Brand consistency is better than brand creativity. And it means this.
That's huge right there. Wait, can you repeat that?
Brand consistency is better than brand creativity. And I say it like this. We had a protein bar. Brand consistency, no matter where I went in life, I just brought you a package, right? Mm-hmm. No matter where I went, if I was at Gold's Gym and I saw you in the gym, even if I know you, hey, how you doing, man? I'm Bruce. I want to give you a protein bar. And here's another one for your significant other, friend, boyfriend, girlfriend, whatever. That's all you need to do when you have a consumable item is get product in people's hands. What happened was, even at Quest, we were guilty of it. We had a certain level of success, and then people started, we had a CMO that said, well, we did a virtual reality booth, and then one of the partners wanted to do it. We did a music video to launch a product, and we did all this crazy things, and when we failed at them, we failed hundreds of thousands of dollars later, and nothing changed. I say, let's go back to what we know, product in people's hands. And if you have a consumable item, whether a beverage, drink, get it in people's hands. That's at the end of the day, what happens is it becomes very boring, right?
Yeah.
Well, we're making all this money. Can't we do some cool stuff? And no, keep getting product in people's hands. I never go anywhere without product. And even if you have a service, I tell my friends that are trainers or realtors, people have got to experience what you have to offer. Whether that means, I tell my training friends are interesting. I had to educate some. I said, you got this amazing physique. You're a trainer. When you see someone in the gym say, hey, can I give you a free session? Can you spend 45 minutes with me? I want to show you what I can do. That's how I got my trainer. Everyone else was just standing around, big egos. I said, you have, so what, like I said, offer your service.
Yeah.
Get someone to try it. And that's what I did with Quest. You tried it, and then they came back.
Yeah. I like that. I was just going to ask you, for service base, if you don't have a product, what would service base look like? And that's just that. It's just actually showing what it is that you do. What solutions do you, or what problems do you solve? What solutions do you have?
Yeah, people always have a problem. Do you have a solution to that problem? And it could be the same with being a contractor. Like my son's a contractor. At first he kind of scoffed it. It's funny. He knows what I do. Yeah. And I remember I brought him home a bag one time. I said, hey, you're doing this remodel. You should bring the customer a bag. He goes, that's kind of weird, Dad. I go, no, thank him for the business and give him this bag. Say your dad's part of this company. He found his own way. Now he gets gift certificates for clients. But I said, you've got to show gratitude to your customers. You made X amount of dollars remodeling someone's bathroom. Give them a gift card to go to dinner. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It doesn't matter what business you're in. You got to show gratitude too.
Yeah. I love that. And so we touched on this a little bit. I just think it's so important with everything we're talking about. And I think you even use this in regards to when you're consulting or maybe even like you're speaking, right?
Yeah.
But masterful connectors, like what is that, and how can someone apply that in their careers or whatever they're doing right now?
As far as connecting with people, you got to get out there. I love a lot of people. I'm a relationship guy, but I try and tell my friends, and it's interesting how people will say. There's a couple of things that people say now. They'll say, "Oh, I talked to so and so." Did you talk to him or did you text him? Well, I text him. That's not talking. Mm-hmm. That's not connecting. You're texting, and then people hide behind a keyboard. They think their best friends are now on Instagram. I said, you got to get out. You got to get out and meet people. You have a product, a service, or an experience. You have got to get out and meet people.
Yeah.
And it's easy. I go to all these events. Dan Fleischman hosts these elevator nights, and I've been to so many events just meeting people. It's sometimes tiring, and sometimes there's no reward. But the reason, so with me, I don't have the mindset. I don't go in thinking I need to leave with 5 names. I may talk to no one, or I might just say hi to a few people, but if you're going to build your business, you got to get out.
Yeah.
And that's how you connect with people. I'm not telling you, I don't know the right avenue. I don't know if mastermind's the right avenue. I don't know if it's paying for front row seats at Tony Robbins, but at some point you got to get out there and just meet people.
Yeah. No, I completely agree. There's just a different dynamic, different experience, different feeling, just a different overall connection when you're doing it in person. Which is kind of like me and you. This is a totally different conversation than if I were to send you like a voice message on Instagram or like even like an actual like video. Video messages is kind of like a thing now.
Yeah,
right?
I love it.
Yeah, but
all my friends are like, one of my good friends. She's a realtor, and she said, well, I don't understand I said, listen, you have a beautiful office. Invite the local underwriters, the insurance carrier, all the people that fall under real estate. Hey, I'm having a get together Wednesday night at 5:00. Cheese, wine, da da da. She does those regularly now. She goes, and her business has tenfold because now the underwriters. Oh my gosh, she's so cool. I want to do it with you. It doesn't matter what service you're in. You just have to do it. You have to get out there.
Yeah, I think too an important piece of that is like, whether you're a realtor, physical, like a personal trainer, whatever it is, right? There's so many out there, but what's the separator? Like, to me, I'm like, if I think of a realtor, if I'm a realtor, I want people, the first realtor they think about is me.
Exactly.
Right? And that's by, like you said, building relationships, like talking to people in person, hosting, events like that at your office?
There's so many little tricks. I mean, listen, like her, I sent her product for open houses, and she said, you know how many people come back or refer because like your open house was the coolest. You had protein snacks and you had healthy drinks, and I mean, you have to listen. You always have to be thinking what sets yourself apart, right? Why am I going to hire you to build my house as opposed to someone else? Oh, I remember him because he, whatever he did or she did, Yeah.
Yeah. Let's move on to kind of like a little mindset stuff, because I think it's important, especially with your background. You've worked in lots of high pressure, high stake environments, right? Again, in the Marines, it's like public service, like high protection detail, right? Entrepreneur. I mean, how do you stay calm under pressure?
I don't know. I've always stayed calm under pressure. It's only if I get anxious or stressed, it's probably something to do with more of a personal thing. An argument with a significant other. That seems more stressful. Sometimes I'm like, I'd rather be in a shootout than deal with this.
Well, would you say it's like you look at pressure in a different like kind of angle then, or a different
I've
lens?
always I don't know. I've always had just a calming mindset. I've worked with guys and I've worked with police officers. And I'm like, wow, this person doesn't. There's a saying. I think it's in general flight. You either there's fight, flight, or freeze. I think it's applicable even in marriages. You get confronted with something, I fright. You run away or you deal with it. I've always been okay just dealing with it.
Yeah.
Even when it's not comfortable.
Yeah.
Even when it's been like a physical threat or a dangerous situation or people shooting at us.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm pretty sure I'm going to survive this.
Yeah.
I'll be okay.
Yeah. Well, with all the different things that you've gone through with your life and experiences, then let me ask you this: what do you think? What's the common thread with keeping you grounded? Then.
Discipline, I think, is going to go back to this.
Yeah.
The discipline I learned. I mean, Jocko talks about it all the time. He's his response to everything is good. Even when you have a bad day, good. I got my ass kicked. Good.
Yeah.
I don't know if I just have a mindset of, listen, it's as bad as it could be for me. It's not that bad. I think sometimes people get all down. Oh my God, I had this happen to me. This happened to me. Did it happen to you or for you? I mean, you're going to be a better person.
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't know.
So you transitioned, again, business executive. Now you're consulting.
Yeah.
Right. What made you want to do that? And what does that kind of like look like? Sharing your lessons with others.
Yeah, I think sharing my lessons. I don't really want to become some big coach guru, but I like. What? I love spending time with people and say, hey, listen, here's all the mistakes I made. You're still young, 30. Let's avoid them all.
Yeah.
There's a lot of people I will meet with people and have pretty candid conversation with some high level CEOs, and they'll say, oh yeah, I don't understand. I don't feel like the employees like me, and then I'll spend the day with them and say, well, a couple of things I noticed. A lot of people think. I remember I just met with a gentleman recently, and he said, I don't understand. Like I have this cool break room with these snacks, and I have an open door policy. And I just spent the day with him. I realized he didn't have an open door policy. He had a gatekeeper, so he had an assistant that would have to. And I said and I told him, and I said, your assistant's not very nice. She's not warming and welcoming. She'll say, hey, what do you need? And then people don't, and then they don't want to go to you. So I said, that's a barrier. So you're not approachable. And I said, on top of that, you only have 30 employees. Do you know all their names? Wow, that's kind of tough, Bruce. I go, is it 30 people?
Yeah.
Have you ever left your office and gone and just sat in a cubicle with the kid that works in accounting or marketing and say, hey man, I just want to hang out. Let me grab a cup of coffee. Tell me more about what you do.
Yeah.
You married? You got kids? And he looked at me like a deer in the headlights. I said, do you want to be loved by your employees that will never leave you? Do that.
Yeah.
Even if it's on Friday or Taco Tuesday,
just
hang out with your people. But I give this advice to people, and I usually hear back from them saying, man, that was life-changing.
Yeah.
Like people don't call in sick now. They want to come to work. They want to hang out. It's become a place where people don't check out at 5. They want to hang out. And anyway.
Yeah, they want to feel like if you're an employee, right? We've all been employees at one point. Like we want to know that we're acknowledged, that we're cherished. We're valuable, right? There's definitely an exchange there.
The highest percentage of the world are employees.
Yeah.
But it's not even, there's studies on this, it's not even about the paycheck, it's that they're appreciated.
Yep.
And and some of my friends write me, or they'll call me and say, man, he goes, you don't understand, it's been life-changing.
Yeah.
People will write me a note, say, man, I appreciate you, boss. Like, thank you for thanking me.
Yeah. And that's how you foster loyalty. That's how you foster keeping talent.
Yeah.
Right? And not losing, right? So.
And in these companies, and by the way, one of the advices I give, because like I said, I was an entrepreneur. People think they're so locked into, I work accounting, or I work marketing, or I work research and development. At our company now, which is legendary, we sold Quest, like, there's no rules. Like, people, if they want to come learn, hey, I want to spend a week in research and development because I think maybe that might be my calling. Come hang out for a week.
Yeah.
Companies need to offer that to people. Just because you're an accountant doesn't mean maybe I want to do something else. Maybe I want to help in marketing.
Yeah. Like, have them see the other.
Yeah, don't
operations.
be stuck in your, I call it cubicle, but don't be stuck in your
little circle. Yeah.
And a good leader will, cool, let's check it out.
Yeah. Any common mistakes that you would say, or the most common mistake among entrepreneurs or like businesses that you consult? Like, what's the most common mistake that you kind of see?
They get caught up in their own ether, right? They drink their own Kool-Aid. Hey, I started a company. I'm an entrepreneur. Of course I know everything.
Yeah.
Instead of realizing I don't really know a lot, and I need to have good people around me to teach me how to do good things. And I've seen, and because I fall into now this food space, so it's kind of my thing.
Yeah.
I met a guy recently, and really quick, I'll tell you, we met at an event, and he said, I want you to come by and meet my team in my office. And I got there, and he had a pretty cool office, and he had a consumable item. It was a cookie, basically, a healthier cookie. And he's telling me how I got this team, a VP of marketing and director of this and a director of that. And I said, well, how much money are you spending on like getting product in people's hands? Remember I told you about keep it simple?
Yeah.
Well, we're still planning that. I go, hold on a second. Let me just bring you back down to ground zero. You have this cookie you made. You spent a lot of money making it, but who's tried it? Who's tested it? And I unwound his whole company for him. I said, you're probably spending $30,000 a month on payroll, and you not even have a viable product yet to test.
Yeah.
And
I love it. You're asking the hard questions.
Yeah, and he goes, yeah, but it's my. And what he said too, and another thing I tell people this, it's no different than. He said, everyone I know loves it. I go, who's everyone? My wife, my kids, my family. I go, let me give you this analogy. Remember when we went to your grandma's house for dinner and whatever she had that horrible lasagna that she always made, and you'd be like, oh, it's great, grandma. Your friends are going to lie to you. No one's going to tell you your cookie's horrible. You think your wife's going to look at you in the eye and say, honey, it's okay, but you could do better?
Yeah.
Go sample it to absolute strangers on the street.
My wife would tell me the truth, but yeah.
No, but very few. But very few.
Yeah.
And then I said, so you're putting all this money in this cookie and you're investing all this money on payroll, but you have not even got it in 1,000 people's hands. And another thing, here's a business secret. Any business, any consumable service or experience, the key to become a millionaire is have 1,000 screaming fans. And it goes like this. Here's the formula. If people like you, they're going to listen to you, right? They're going to first listen. Oh, I like this guy. If they trust you, they're going to buy. But if you transform their lives, and think about it, if you transform their lives, whether it's a protein bar, they're going to go to the highest mountaintops and scream your name.
Yep.
And then what's that do? Then they tell 10 friends. Oh, do you try these Quest bars or legendary bars or
free marketing? Yep.
Have you? Oh, my trainer's the best guy in the world. I have abs.
Yeah.
Yo, call and here's his number.
Yeah. And you don't have to ask them to do it.
Yeah.
They'll do it. They'll do it for.
They'll do it for free. Yep. You don't have to ask them. They're going to tell 10 friends, or their friends are, hey, how'd you get so lean? Oh, call my friend. We'll call my coach. But that's really the key. People get caught up in, I'm going to spend a bunch of money on marketing, but where's your loyal fans? Where's your 1,000 base? Where's your people that are screaming your name? Well, I'm buying them. I'm paying for Google ads and space and search engine optimization. Well, you got to get people to really love you.
Yeah. I mean, there's some businesses that don't even spend money on ads and, Facebook and Google and all that other stuff. Like, it's all, right? It's just a movement.
Yeah.
It's just a movement.
But you have to have a base for what you have.
Yeah.
Your product or service has got to speak for itself before you could do anything.
Yeah. So what I'm hearing is like your product, your service has just to be the best. And then from there, let people rave about it.
Start out with 20 solid clients instead of like, I don't know, a bunch of people tried it and I never heard back from them. Because here's the key to anything. You want a lifetime customer, right?
Yes.
Whether you're selling a cookie or you're a trainer. And lifetime is relative. Maybe you use the same trainer for a year and then you move on, but you're going to then tell 2 friends. Same difference in the nutrition space. They have a number, I can't remember, it was like $3,500 is like optimal for like a nutrition company to have something for lifetime. It becomes generational too.
Yeah.
I now meet people like, oh yeah, my mom hooked me on Quest bars or legendary. Now my kids are.
Yeah. It's not transactional, just exactly what you said earlier, right? So let's talk about, as we're kind of wrapping up here, let's talk about Legendary now. Like, what got you, so Quest got sold, so then you just started a new chapter, or what did that look like?
So we knew a year before, we knew we were going to sell.
Okay.
We brought in a new CEO to clean up the company and make it really, to go to market. And Ron, the founder of Quest, with Shannon, called a group of us together really quick and said, hey, I've secured this name, Legendary Foods. What do you guys think? I said, that's phenomenal.
It's a phenomenal name, by the way.
Yeah, isn't it crazy? Like what we've been pretty lucky with names. Quest, Legendary.
I'm big on parables. Like I'm like, yo, you got to have the name.
And you're like, how'd you find that name? Anyway, so Ron says, listen, we can't do anything in protein bar space because of a non-compete. But he went to the investors and said, hey, I want to start this nut butter company, seasoned nuts and nut butters. So while I was still at Quest, we started working out of Ron's old house. He kind of reminded us, listen, guys, we've made some good money at Quest, but we're starting over. I have no idea what this holds. So we worked out of his house. He sold his house, but we worked out of his house. And I remember going to Pasadena to a kitchen commissary and making nut butters by hand. And I'm thinking, man, that's crazy, like starting over again. And that's what we did for the first 3 years until we were able to make protein paste once the non-compete was up. But an interesting thing, and I tell people this, is a really important, another learning lesson for me. Ron said, I think there was like 8 of us that came over. Everyone else was gone. Quest sold, everyone made a lot of money, and they said, I'm done.
Yeah.
But there were 6 or 8 of us, and he said, listen, I need you guys to tell me how much money you need to make. And it was a private conversation, like, and people, whatever numbers they said. And I wrote him an email, and I said, I've seen this movie before. I don't need any money. I know where this is going. I didn't get paid for the first year.
Yeah.
But I got money from Quest. Now, fast forward, I didn't know this. Some people were asking for ridiculous amounts of money. And he paid it. None of them are here.
Wow.
Because I think what they thought was, okay, yeah, he's rich. I need $10,000, $20,000 a month, and I have kids to feed. Instead of saying, okay, we're at a startup again. Let's start from ground zero. And I had that mindset of, wait, I didn't take advantage of him when I first met him.
Yeah.
What's going to be different now? And I just had that mindset, and maybe it's not the smartest, but it paid off.
Yeah, yeah.
Because I'm one of the few guys left, and now we're a viable company. We're big.
Yeah.
So,
and it's all about the long-term vision anyway, right? So
yeah. So
man, that's awesome.
that was my takeaway. I mean, sometimes you have to bring value and have really. I had, even with Legendary, I had no expectations. I thought, okay, well, I think we're going to do it. I think we'll be able to do this one, but you don't know.
Yeah. That's awesome, man. So real quick, as we're kind of wrapping up, we were just talking about this, which I'm very, very excited. Just talk about what's in the works, like particularly, you're working on the book, not out yet.
Yeah.
But
working on book 2. I just want to end this about Legendary because we have all concluded over spending all this time with a group of guys that we're all going to be affected by heart disease and cancer. Internally, we're spending $6 million a year just on cancer research. Wow. Because, what are you going to do with all this money if you're not doing something great for mankind, right? So that's kind of, and it's a passion play. We've all been affected by it. I personally have. So, and then me personally, this book is almost done. It's called Lead with Value, which Bedros Keuilian convinced me to write a book because I was like, I'm not worthy of a book, and he said, you have a book in you.
Nice. Bedros was on the podcast. That was phenomenal.
We spent an afternoon together. He invited me out, so we worked out together and had lunch, and at the end of it, he goes, Bruce, you have a pretty interesting story. He goes, you have at least 6 books in you. He goes, but get one going. So that's what caused me. So it's almost done. So and then I have a website. It's called BruceCardenas.com.
Awesome.
I don't want to be known as a coach. I just want. I honestly, and this is just from the heart. If I could help some people do cool things in life, that's more rewarding than. I don't need to be one of these guys on a bunch of Zoom calls and trying to charge a bunch of money. I'd just be like, if I could help one entrepreneur, like make cool things happen in their life and maybe get rich. And by the way, getting rich is not the end all.
Of course.
All money does is facilitate things in life.
Yep. Amplifier.
I think Gary Vee says it best. Some of his happiest friends make $60,000 a year, and they're happy as hell.
Yeah.
And we have people that make millions a year and are miserable.
Miserable.
So my goal now is I want to make people. I want to see people happy, and if I can help you get there, cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. It may sound kind of maybe cliche, but to me that's my why now.
Yeah.
It makes me feel good.
Well, I think we're all in a position. I know you'd appreciate. You've probably heard this before. Like and I've said this multiple times, but we're the most qualified to help the person we used to be. Right.
Oh, I love that. Can I use that?
Yeah, of course.
No, but you're absolutely right, because I look back and think, I wish I had me when I was in my 20s. To say, hey, dude, come over this way.
Yeah, go back in time and be like, hey, man.
You're going to lose a lot of money and cause a lot of pain.
But you're okay. Just keep going.
Yeah,
right.
And that's kind of my goal now when I talk to people, and obviously I'm younger now, but hey, here's a couple things. Now, some people listen and some people don't.
Yeah, yeah. That's awesome, man.
Go ahead.
Yeah. Well, as we wrap up here, the last question,
and
then just if you could shoot where people can find you, maybe Legendary Foods, things like that. But just real quick, The parable is about, becoming your highest self. How would you describe that? Like, what does it mean to Bruce to become your highest self?
I wake up every morning. I'm grateful that I'm alive. I am now 2 years older than the age my father died of colon cancer. So I wake up sometimes and think, man, I'm so grateful. So I wake up on a positive. I don't care I don't care what's going on in the world. I wake up positive. I'm alive. I'm breathing. I'm going to go to the gym. And so that's living my best life possible, and to bring value to other people.
Yeah.
I observe how people treat other people, and to me, like I ask the waiter their name, where they're from, is this a full-time gig? I talk to people because you never know where that relationship's going to go.
Absolutely.
And what maybe you could help someone. Maybe they're looking for a gig. I know someone.
Yeah.
So I go out of my way to. I think we have a very limited time here. We have a very limited time on this earth, and before you know it, we're matter of fact. I think I like Gary Vee. He's always saying cool things. He said in 100 years there'll be 8 billion new people on the planet. We're all going to be gone.
Yeah.
So we might as well maximize what we're doing here now, and not wallow in sorrow, and be like, what can I do to bring value to other people in the world and make yourself happy?
Yeah. And I think a lot of people miss just the unseen ripple effect that occurs when you do something like that, like talking to the waiter and maybe connecting this person.
And don't wait. Like, one thing, I know we're dragging this out, but like, if you have an idea for anything you want to do, just start a side hustle. Mm-hmm. You could be a single mom. Doesn't mean you can't get your real estate license. Doesn't mean you can't make a cookie in your kitchen like Shannon did that turned into something. You start selling at farmers markets. People have, I think, they have limited belief. Like, wait, how can I do that? How can I write a book? Well, just start writing.
Yeah.
Start recording. AI now can do everything for you.
Yeah.
But here's, I think, the worst thing, people, you don't want to be in your 80s on your deathbed saying, God, I wish I had just done that.
Yeah.
And what's the worst case? You fail, and you just keep going. Go back to your day job, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the thing. I wish people would do more things for themselves to bring greatness to them,
Yeah. At least you tried.
Yeah, right? You tried. That's all that matters. You tried, instead of living with regret.
With regret, yeah. Awesome, Bruce. I appreciate you coming on the podcast, man. Just real quick, a quick plug. Where can people find you? I know you said your website. Best way to connect with you?
Yeah, probably Instagram, Bruce E. Cardenas. It seems to be the conduit for everything.
Yeah.
I have other verticals, but that one, and then my website, brucecardenas.com.
All right.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, I appreciate you coming on the podcast, Parables Podcast. We are out of here. Take care, everyone. Hey, everyone. Thank you for tuning into the podcast. If you enjoyed the episode and found value, don't forget to hit that follow so you are always updated and in the loop with the latest episode drops. In addition, if you could rate the podcast, that would help us tremendously with visibility. Lastly, if you know someone that would enjoy or benefit from this episode or the show, please pay it forward and share it with them. It means a lot to us. Thank you, and we'll see you next time.